Well, hello. I'm here with Irvin to talk about Cybertrucks. It's October 1, 2024. And by the way, I should mention the last podcast, I made a mistake when processing it and it got corrupted. So I deleted it. So if you wonder what happened to it, it's gone. It occurred to me I'd like to explain that because I listened to a lot of podcasts that fell up and they never explain what happened.
So were you speaking bad about the Chinese again?
Well, no, actually I wasn't too controversial content, but I made a mistake when converting the Zoom. I because we hung around the Zoom after it was over, I started processing it, and then when I closed it, it made a second instance to process it, and the two instances running together seem to have corrupted it. So I'm going to have just one instance of the converting software running, and hopefully that'll fix it. This
So we'll
happens
just
now and then. And I've noticed even the professional podcasts I listen to, they very frequently skip back like a minute and repeat a minute. And I wondered if it was my phone, but I'm pretty sure it's not my phone. It's just podcasts are pretty sloppy things, They all seem to be doing it. Even the big money ones seem to be sloppily edited.
blame Donald Trump and move on.
Well, that's not a bad policy. Blaming JD Vance is even better. Anyway,
Yeah.
well, anyway, the first article I thought was the most interesting, the one you had for a while, and I had it too. So Tesla Cybertrucks are going to have full self-driving. If they pay for it, of course. After paying about $100,000 for the truck, they have to pay another 10,000 or something to get the full self-driving. But anyway, the Tesla fans will pay it and love it. There are people that just love Elon Musk. I
Yeah,
keep
those
thinking,
wedges need to stop being on the road.
what's that?
Those wedges need to stop being on the road.
They are really funny looking. There's one around here. I like to go look at it. And I drive by a Tesla sales place and they have tons of them. Um, they look funny, but I mean, I don't know. I've never driven one. I don't know
Yeah,
what they're like from the inside. Uh,
they're not quite the best. They're not the best car, period.
People say it's way too heavy and they're concerned about it on the road for that reason. But anyway, the part that struck me about this article was not specifically about this Cybertruck, but someone made the most extensive real world test of Tesla's full self driving ever conducted by an independent third party, covering more than 1,000 miles of real world driving, which actually does not sound like very much to me. But anyway, they found that drivers had to intervene over 75 times during the evaluation, an average of once every 13 miles. Errors are frequent, and when they occur, they're often sudden, dramatic, and dangerous. So this is what I've heard a lot. I've heard that there are a lot of people getting in accidents and getting killed in Tesla full self-driving. And Elon, my first thought when this all started like 5 years ago, I said, well, I'm all for self-driving because it's got to be better than people driving because I've noticed how rotten people are driving. But the evidence appears to be that the current generation of Tesla self-driving is even more dangerous than people. But it's not clear. Anyway, uh, I thought it was interesting to see an actual measurement of the quality
Mhm.
of self-driving, giving the result that is about what I expected from other sources I've looked at. I'm happy to have an old car with no fancy features. Anyway,
Mhm.
and what do you got? Something about Snapchat?
So Snapchat is one of those many social media apps, and they are quietly rolling out a feature called Footsteps that you can see where you've been. It's tracking your GPS locations and
Is it
keeping a record of them.
is it broadcasting that record to other people or just you?
Well, for now, they're saying that it's only you, but we know how that goes with any social media that's recording.
Well, maybe some people might want to share it, but it just seems like it might be fun if you like to take hikes or something. Seems like a small gimmick that wouldn't really matter that much, I suppose.
Wouldn't matter. Well, see, the thing is, it's more of the younger generation who's using Snapchat.
Yeah.
So they're going to be susceptible to scams and pedophiles and that kind of stuff.
Oh,
That's
so exposing your
that's
location might make it easier for someone to attack you in real life or something.
yeah. Yeah, because if you're doing a hike and you want your friends to know where you're at and you have an iPhone, well that's the Find My Friends. Right? These
Yeah.
are trusted people that you know that you're sharing location with. Easy, done.
Hmm.
But Snapchat doesn't isn't like that. That's more social
That's
media.
that's more like Grinder or something.
Yeah. Well, kind of.
Yeah. So this is moving more towards that kind of app that's designed to help you make physical contact with people.
Yeah.
And that would make it more dangerous, clearly. I mean,
That would make
I heard on a podcast recently, they said that among the social networking apps, Snapchat is the one that does not harm the mental health of teens. The others do, but they said the thing about Snapchat is you're not sharing pictures with everybody like Instagram. You're just sharing it with your friends. So you're not constantly being compared to people that are impossibly prettier and richer and happier than you. It's just among your friends, they say.
right, but anybody can scam anyone else to be their friend.
Well, yeah, and I would imagine there'll be like pedophiles impersonating kids to get on there and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's not, while it's better, it's not foolproof either.
right. And adding location tracking probably makes it more dangerous.
Correct.
Yeah, the interesting issue will be is there actually some benefit from this to balance the risk?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not seeing one really.
Me either. All I see is just feature after feature being thrown at people. Well, being called features, but being more risks.
Yeah. All right. Well, there was a test where these guys used large language models to generate code in JavaScript and Python. They generated 500,000 or more code samples, and they found that it hallucinates. I found this too. If you ask it how to install something in Debian, it will just say apt install name, and that's not the right name. It will just make up a name that looks about right, just what I would have tried without bothering to ask the AI, because it doesn't bother to fact check anything. And now that I'm teaching this stuff, now that I understand how large language models work, I understand why they lie so much, because they don't understand anything they're saying. They just know the layout of the page. So they will make a page that looks like a proper manual page with complete ignorance of the fact that what it's saying is not true. And anyway, so they found that this happens 5% for commercial models and 21% for open source models. So
Hmm.
that's interesting, suggesting that the commercial LLMs are better, but they're all pretty terrible. And I've noticed this when I Google something, there's often an AI generated result. And if it's like a step-by-step technical thing, I've learned to always just ignore the AI generated result and go for the real page, because it will tell me to click on things that aren't there. It will just look like the right instructions, but I mean, that's what it will put up there is what I usually try before I ask for help. First I click, can I find it? Oh, I can't find it. Well, then I better Google it. And the AI is what I would try myself that didn't work.
Yeah.
So, they people are investing tons of money in these things, although they're beginning to balk. I just heard a venture capital investment investor talk today on a podcast how he's not investing in AI because he doesn't think it has a lot of growth potential anymore. And I think I'm seeing this. People are sinking a lot of money into this stuff, and almost all the companies are going to die. There's going to be a wipeout. Probably OpenAI will make money. Probably Microsoft will make money, but it's going to be years yet before they reach profitability. So,
Right. I think
and
the profitability will rise when usability is consistent, right? When they stop hallucinating so much and actually give accurate results, then the usability goes up.
that would help. And if they figure out some way to put ads in it so they can pay for it, that would lower the cost. I'm using AI code generation. I'm teaching a Python coding class, and Google Colab has a built-in AI generator, and it's sometimes helpful. It suggests things, and if I start doing an if statement, it will add the else if and else statement, and about 2/3 of the time, it is what I was pretty much going to do. So it's
Yeah.
like autocomplete for code. So
Yeah.
that's a little bit useful. It's not a game changer or anything,
Yeah.
but
For searches, I use Perplexity.
for coding.
No, for searching.
For searching. Yeah, I used Perplexity for a while. Then I got sort of fed up with it, but I might go back to it. I've certainly noticed that Google is almost useless. I frequently have to go to Bing.
Hmm.
Google fails to find anything useful anymore. I noticed they quit indexing my page. I can't search my own content in Google anymore, but I can at Bing. But yeah, I used Perplexity for a while, and it's pretty interesting. There's another one I want to mention here about Microsoft Recall has now supposedly been upgraded. Now, Microsoft Recall was the spyware they put on your Windows 11 machine to record everything you do, including screenshots. And they were just going to slam this to everybody without permission. And then the privacy and security people screamed bloody murder. So they backed off. And now they've said they've upgraded the security. So it has stronger default protection for user data and tighter access control. And they say it's always opt in. So unless you specifically turn it on, it's not going to be on. I certainly hope that's true. And then they say it filters sensitive content and allows you to exclude specific apps, websites, or in private browsing sessions, and can be removed if needed. So It sounds
Hmm.
like Microsoft really got slapped in the nose and backed off here. And I agree with the speculations I've heard that Microsoft really had planned to make a pile of money off of this by targeting ads on the Windows 11 desktop and by gathering all this data to train AIs and stuff. They thought, oh, because this is the new problem. Where do you get enough user-generated content to train your AI? They pretty much used up all the text on the web, and now more than half of the text on the web is AI-generated garbage. So somebody like Reddit or Twitter for that matter, that has a large group of user generated content has something valuable that you now have to pay for to use. And so I'm sure that the Microsoft executives are saying we could just capture everything our users use, and that'll be a vast reservoir of human generated data that nobody else has, as long as we can ignore those irritating little privacy concerns.
Right, right.
So this is, I think, a big step back because who would opt into this? I would think not even 10% of people would opt into this. I mean, unless
Yeah,
you can actually show that it does something useful.
right, right.
But did you get a new iPhone? I mean, new iPhone supposedly has this Apple Intelligence, or maybe it doesn't really have it yet, but it will. And
Right. It doesn't have it yet. It doesn't have it yet.
that is supposed to be helpful, right? It's supposed to be an AI like a butler, a personal assistant monitoring everything to tell
Right.
you, oh, you forgot to go to your doctor's appointment. This new store opened up and it's like that other one. It notices, what you're doing and can offer helpful commentary, all in privacy, right? Just you and your phone. I can imagine that might possibly be useful, like a personal assistant,
Yeah. That's how they sold it, is that it's basically a personal assistant.
which is not a bad idea. I've sometimes missed meetings and forget to do things, and if it could efficiently help me do better in that regard, maybe it'd be worth something. I'm skeptical,
Yeah.
but
That's
I trust Apple to keep it private. I certainly do not trust Microsoft to keep it private.
hmm hmm Yeah. So let's see what happens when they release it, which I think is next year.
Oh, okay. I knew you have
Yeah.
to have the very newest phone to get it
The
involved.
newest or the second newest, the 15 or 16.
Okay, and it has to be the Pro version. I didn't even know there was a Pro and home version of the iPhone, but from what I've read, there is. And you have to have the Pro version, or it won't have the AI chip to make this work.
Right, right. Because you need, I mean, just like running any other AI, you need the resources.
Yep, yep. Well, um, I'm interested to read what other people find with it. I'm sure not going to jump on it myself. So you've got something about ChatGPT, eh?
Oh, speaking of AIs and large language models, ChatGPT is going to be raising its prices because they have millions of subscribers.
They've
So
been running it's $20 a month now, isn't it?
it's $20 a month, but they're planning to double it in the next 5 years.
Oh, 5 years. Holy cow. That
Yeah.
seems ridiculous to even talk about 5 years in the world of tech. I mean, everything changes so fast.
Yeah,
In
but
5 years, your company will probably be gone. I mean,
right. So it's funny that they think they'll be around that long. Kind of cool, kind of cute.
well, what I expect might happen within 5 years is they might just be absorbed into Microsoft. I mean, they're
Right,
close partnership with Microsoft, and that
right.
already almost happened like 6 or 9 months ago when they kicked Sam Altman out. Microsoft said, "Well, we'll just hire everybody and make it inside Microsoft," which seems like a logical move.
Right. I mean, we all thought Splunk would never die, and then now it's Cisco
It's Cisco. I knew somebody bought it. Cisco. Okay, yeah,
bought it. So yes, I agree with you that I think that while this is a nice idea that they're going to raise prices in 5 years, I agree that in 5 years they'll probably be eaten by somebody.
that sounds very unrealistic to me. My understanding is at $20 a month, they're still losing money on every subscription. And I would think they're not going to be willing to keep losing money for 5 more years. I mean,
Yeah.
right now, people say the prospects are so good, the venture capital is flooding in. It's perfectly fine to run at a loss right now. But 5 years to continue to run at a loss, that sounds ridiculous to me.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, the other thing is within 5 years, the hardware will get a lot better. So it'll get a lot
Hmm.
cheaper to run. So anyway, yeah, we will
Right.
see what happens. I mean, ChatGPT remains the leader, OpenAI.
Hmm.
They're right now they have a huge transition again. A bunch of their staff just quit. A bunch of them are freaking out because Sam Altman finally came out of the closet and admitted it's just a for-profit company, and we're going to totally jettison all this garbage about responsibility and safety and ethics and stuff, which
Of
they never
course.
paid any attention to anyway. We're
Of
just going to
course.
be a for-profit company, which I'm glad to see that. I think that's more realistic. A corporation pretending to be ethical is pretty much nonsense. I mean,
Yeah.
you might as well just admit what you are, like Microsoft. Microsoft has never pretended to be anything but a profit-making corp.
Hmm.
And I think that's all any of them are, and they might as well just admit that and pretend they're not some altruistic nonprofit board of idealists trying to limit the harm of technology. They're a company making a product to make it as fast as possible and make as much money as possible. And they ought to just admit that.
Yep.
And all the fears are garbage. I mean, I don't believe in any of this ex superhuman AI killing us all and everything.
Yeah, those are fun Hollywood stuff.
Yeah, I tried to. Sam Harris had a podcast about AIs. I tried listening to it, but he's talking to a guy who years ago wrote a book how the superhuman AI is going to wipe out the human race, and that was their discussion. And it was hard for me to take any of it seriously. I think they're philosophers that don't know enough about technology,
Hmm.
and they probably think something I might have thought 20 years ago. Well, the hardware is looking like a brain, therefore, pretty soon it'll function like the human brain. But the missing ingredient, which I think Caitlin pointed out to me very clearly, is they have to actually live in a body and grow up in contact with the world and learn that there's a world out there and there are other people out there, and those other people have feelings and the world has their consequences and stuff. And until it really lives like a human lifetime in a human robot body, it's not going to have any of that.
Yeah, I think we'll have Jurassic Park first.
Well, yeah, I think we already have Jurassic Park. They've actually brought back some ancient stuff. I think, and when we have sentient robots living among humans, then maybe it will begin to develop something resembling human intelligence. So that might happen in 50 or 100 years, I guess. Anyway,
Okay.
so this one was pretty interesting. It affected me because there's a huge hurricane in the south, wiping out all kinds of cities in several states. This affected the global Verizon network, apparently. My phone lost its connection. I couldn't use my map to drive to work. I had to pull over and connect through a coffee house Wi-Fi. Um, Verizon had a huge outage over the whole country, and their phone would switch into SOS mode, which you would search for the bars, and then it would turn to SOS, which apparently means it couldn't find any cell signal at all. And SOS means there's some kind of emergency service available, but no normal cellular contact at all, including cellular data. So that was disturbing.
Yeah, for it to affect you on the other side of the states.
Yeah, I thought I couldn't figure out what was going on. I said, why would it affect us here? But apparently, whatever's happening in bad weather down there is affecting the whole world. Although they didn't explain the cause, I'm just guessing at the cause. But I did learn something which I'd only heard of. I learned how to download a map into offline mode. So now I can do that. Now I can get the route to work even without an internet connection. So
Hmm.
it wasn't that hard to do. I did have to Google how to do it, but
Yeah.
now I hope I'll be able to survive if this keeps happening. And anyway, that was a inconvenience for people all over the nation, I think.
Yeah, very
Anyway,
important.
and you've got a holiday, eh?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's not a holiday. It's today's October 1st. So besides it being spooky month, it's also cybersecurity awareness month.
Spooky month?
Spooky. Halloween.
Oh, spooky month. All right, yeah, yeah. Boy, the only thing I know about Cybersecurity Awareness Month is they used to call it CSAM until they found out they can't use that acronym
Yep.
because that's child sexual abuse material.
Yep.
So I think they're short of an acronym for it.
Yes.
And and but I never understood the point. I mean, is anybody not aware of cybersecurity? I think we're all punched in the face with it every day as spam
Um,
comes in and everything.
yeah, but this is the time to spam people with doing the basics because they still don't do them.
Well, they sure don't. I mean, everybody should at least use a password manager. I think that's the main recommendation for normals is use a password manager.
Right. So for the normals, this is the month to slap them across the face.
Yeah, and I think CISA has been very helpful. They actually wanted me to give a talk to small business owners about security. And years ago, I would say, I don't know what to tell them, but now I do. NIST and CISA have published really useful handouts, how to secure a small business, how to secure your product manufacturing. Nice, simple, like 5 or 10 easy steps that make sense. So now I know what to tell them. I appreciate the guidance.
Hmm.
It's very hard for me to imagine what people outside the industry think and what they do.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the article that I put is from the CISA.
I'm really impressed at CISA, and I think this must be Jen Easterly. I mean, 5 years ago, I had the feeling the government was always out of date and incompetent and not even worth listening to. And that has really changed. They have a lot of really helpful papers, a lot of helpful recommendations. They have this good list of known exploited vulnerabilities. They're really doing a lot of good work.
About time too.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have thought to turn to the government for technical advice about much of anything, but now I'm happy to.
Hmm.
Well, I got one more thing. So Ray-Ban has got smart glasses. This is the latest version of basically the Google glasses, but they're getting rave reviews. People say they're actually light and comfortable, which was the big problem with those big boxy things. And this guy says he really loves them. He paid for them. He thinks it's the greatest gadget in a year. The one thing totally missing is what it actually does. But apparently it's augmented reality. So he says you can look at things and it will Google them for you and it will click QR codes for you in the glasses. And I don't
So
know.
it's like a heads up display.
It is a heads up display, augmented reality with so you can still see the world, which is the big thing. And then I would imagine what I would like is for it to have like instant messages pop up right there. I have them on my Apple Watch now, which is almost as convenient. And I don't think you'd want to read whole emails there. But anyway, I'm still waiting to find out what it's going to do that would really be so great. I remember the early Apple Watch videos. You would go to a party, you'd meet somebody, it would do facial recognition, say, oh, this guy has a criminal record and he's probably going to kill you, so you don't chat with him. And they rapidly like said, oh no, we won't really do that. But that would be useful.
Hmm.
But it also probably extremely illegal and invading your privacy and everything.
Yeah.
So exactly and the other thing you can do is record all your conversations so you can put them on the internet later and violate the privacy of everybody around you. That's why I'm just not quite sure exactly what is the killer app here.
Hmm.
But apparently they are no longer giving you a headache to wear them and stuff. So maybe we'll hear more as they go ahead. I heard the experts I listened to say that these things are still not really good enough to be a big hit, but they're a lot better. And probably like the next generation or the one after it will start really being a hit. This would be the next wearable, I guess. Although I must say, people like me, I have to wear glasses so I can see. So I can't wear another pair of glasses on top of them reasonably.
Unless they make the prescriptions with.
Yeah, if you could put a prescription lens in them, then I guess it would be a possibility for me if it didn't cost too much and if it actually accomplishes something I want. I I'm not quite sure what I'd want a heads-up display to do, but maybe it would be great if you get used to it.
I mean, what if that was your phone?
Well, so it's gonna pop up SMS and stuff all the time. I guess you have to be able to turn it off. Yeah, I'd have to see if it's actually easy enough to read and not too distracting. I guess it might, if it could replace all the screens and have high quality enough display, maybe that would be better. I think what everyone thinks of is like the Iron Man movie, where they have this three-dimensional thing and he can just reach out with his hands and move them around.
Right.
That might be good.
Right.
So I want to see good demonstrations of this doing something awesome before I would think about it.
Yeah, because the Vision, the one from Apple, is something remotely similar.
Yeah, well, the main thing for me is, of course, it has to not block off your vision and not give you a headache or make you throw up. And apparently they have solved those problems. So that's a big step forward.
Hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, that's all I've got. You don't have any more, do you?
I don't.
All right. Well, that's it for this one. And hopefully by being more careful, I can avoid wiping it out during conversion.